Hello, my name is Mary Beth McGee. I'm an author and trainer, and we're here today to talk about sparking your creativity to help you take the next step in your business, whatever that business may be, in problem solving, whatever your position is, to help you be more creative in that role. Now, before we go into the PowerPoint, I'd like you to take a quick look behind me, because I'm going to be talking about some of the techniques for creativity, and I want you to see that I use them. One of the things we'll talk about is surrounding yourself with things that inspire you, that make you happy, that you love. And I want you to see that, yes, I have those things. And I'm not telling you anything that I don't use myself. So, let's get started.
Let's take you through how to set your creativity aflame. There's a formula that makes up creativity. Imagination plus inspiration plus information equals creativity. Creativity can't exist without all of these. And today we're going to look at how you can put those pieces into place. We want to help you find the spark through ideas using your imagination, inspiration, getting you excited and happy, and then finally information so that you can make informed decisions about what's going on. Don't let your creativity starve. It's a very basic idea, but it's very important. Feed your creativity with ideas. To do that, read. Read everything that catches your attention, not just in your field, but all over, in every genre. Fiction, nonfiction, poetry, history, futuristic, fantasy, doesn't matter. Read. The more you read, the more you'll encounter ideas that other people have had, and they can help to spark your own. Visit. Visit places. Visit things. And visit people. Maybe you can't visit in person. Time constraints, distance, whatever that may be. Through modern technology, you have the opportunity to visit almost anywhere. To be able to see the Forbidden City in China, the Vatican in Rome, to be able to visit Victoria Falls in Africa. You can go anywhere through museum websites, through various government websites, through YouTube videos. So if you can't go in person, take advantage of the technology. You can visit people. We've got all sorts of technological tools to allow you to visit people and be able to sit down with them over the internet and be able to have a conversation. Attend. Take advantage of learning opportunities. Attend lectures and seminars and workshops whenever you can. The more you attend, the more you'll learn. The more you learn, the more your ideas will flow. And then observe. Observe the world around you, from the largest landscape to the smallest flower petal. Use all of your senses. Sight, sound, taste, smell, texture, all of those things that you can observe. You can then apply all of those senses. There's a reason why grocery stores often have bread baking, so that the smell wafts out through the whole store and makes everyone want to buy fresh baked bread. We use our senses to identify the world, to make sense of the world. observe and use those senses. Now, in terms of inspiration, where can you go for inspiration? Well, lots of places. You can collect things. Now, remember at the very beginning, I showed you some of the things in my office. I happen to love nautical things, ships and lighthouses and rowboats, all those sorts of things. I mean, for a coffee table, I use a sea chest. I love all things nautical. I love zebras. I love flowers. I have all of those things around me. I love stuffed animals. Everything that I love is something that I keep around me to inspire me. Remember I said I love zebras. This is one of them. This is a very tiny one. Barnabas is actually small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. His name is Barnabas because he's an encourager. He encourages me. He inspires me. I got him at a gift shop at the Brookfield Zoo outside of Chicago, Illinois. He reminds me of how much I loved that zoo and the time that I spent in it. And I used to spend a lot of time in that zoo. I worked nearby and was able to go in quite often. This little guy just caught my attention in the gift shop one day. And I don't usually buy gifts from a zoo gift shop because they tend to be a little pricey. But this guy, just, with that look, how could I resist? I went out and I got him the little name tag. Went to the pet store where they let you engrave your own and got his name tag. He's Barnabas on the road because I take him all over with me. I've got pictures of him in all sorts of places. He's also the inspiration for my publishing company, BOTR Press, Barnabas on the Road. If you look in the Bible, Barnabas is known to have been an encourager. He helped people, encouraged people, reached out to them. That's what I want to do. That's what I want my publishing house to do. And I'm inspired every time I look at my little guy. He reminds me of my mission. Other things that can inspire you might be artwork, copies or framed prints, or just put them in a notebook. Maybe you've put together a binder of some of your favorite artwork. That's okay. And if it's artwork that some of your children in the family did, hey, makes it that much sweeter. Doesn't have to be a big, expensive framed print on your wall. It can even be something you use on your computer as your desktop or your screensaver. So don't be afraid to enjoy artwork. Toys and games. Barnabas is the toy. I mean, I can't pretend he's not. He's a little stuffed animal. He's the toy. But he is an inspirational toy for me. Games can be inspirational. Role-playing games, things of that nature that help you to get your brain going, get the juices flowing. Photographs. Photographs of places you've been, places you want to go, people you've been with. Don't be afraid to take pictures. Now, I have to admit I'm bad. A lot of my photographs don't have people in them because from a journalistic standpoint, if I don't have a way to get the releases from them, I can't put their picture with the story. So a lot of my photographs don't have people. But those photographs are still memories of precious events, precious encounters. Quotations. Go into any gift shop, and one of the things that you'll find in great abundance are quotations, plaques, wall hangings, table settings, things with inspirational quotations. We as human beings love to be inspired. We love to be encouraged. And that's why there's a whole market for those things. Books and magazines. If that book or magazine is dear to you, has inspired you, encouraged you, holds a great memory for you, then keep it. I have books that are older than me because they were my mother's books that I read when I got old enough to read them, and they mean a lot to me. Hang on to them. And it's perfectly okay to tear the articles out of the magazines as long as it's your magazine and put it in a binder. Keep them orderly, perfectly fine. Memorabilia. Anything that reminds you of happy times, happy places is a great thing. Anything that makes you smile, makes you happy, exercises your brain, makes you think, sparks ideas, and makes you want to keep going. Those are all wonderful things to collect. Now, I mentioned photographs. Photograph things and people as you go through life. This photograph is one that I took on a daylily driving tour. My best friends dragged me out and said, we're going on this daylily driving tour. We went from one farm to another looking at the various daylily gardens. This was one of them. I love this photograph with the birdhouse, the condo birdhouse on top of the flowers and all the different daylilies there. But as I walked through those gardens, I came around a shrub to another bed, and I suddenly had an image in my mind of what if someone was on a daylily driving tour and found a body laying in the daylilies. That became the inspiration for my first novel. Death in the Daylilies was the first time I'd written a full-length book. Up until that time, I'd done lots of short stories, lots of articles, been published since I was 10 years old. But I'd not done a full-fledged novel. Death in the Daylilies was it, and the inspiration came from this garden. Some of the things that you might want to take pictures of or collect pictures of, as the case may be. People who inspire you, your business icons, personal heroes, places, memories, events, some of the venues that you'd like to get to a point of being able to work in. Any of those things. Things that you've done, things you want to do. Those are the images that can inspire you. Copy things. Now, I know this sounds awful, right, for coming from a writer? But copy things. There's a reason why art students spend so much time sitting in museums and art galleries copying the works of masters. It's not because they want to forge it. It's because they want to learn the techniques, and they practice those techniques by copying the celebrated masters. I learned how to write poetry by copying poetry. I learned about rhythm and rhyme schemes from copying other people's poetry. When I was in school, I had notebooks full of poems that I saved, favorites that I collected through the years. And I learned from them. Copying is a great learning tool. Study things. Now, that might sound like the same thing as copying, but really it's not. Copying, you're looking at something and trying to reproduce it. Studying, you're looking at it to understand it, to find what's going on behind it. Study new things, old things, all the things that affect your work, your interests, anything that sparks your inspiration. You don't have to be a mechanic to want to study small engine repair. You don't have to want to be a professional seamstress to want to learn how to make pleats. Anything that you choose to study, just because it interests you, is going to help you. You never know what you're going to learn from point A that's going to apply to point B. Listen to inspiring music. I love good music. And of course, the definition of good music varies from person to person. The music that inspires you, whatever it may be, is what you want to listen to when you're trying to solve a problem and be inspired. Back in the day, we used to put together what we called a mixtape, cassette of our favorite songs that we put together in one collection. Nowadays, we call it a playlist, and there are lots of services online that will allow you to put together a playlist. But whatever it is, listen to inspiring music. I have those items that I listen to on a regular basis because they help me focus on what I'm doing and shut out outside distractions. So don't be afraid to listen to inspiring music. Play a game. We become more creative when we play. We figure out strategies and maneuvers and ways to take the rules of the game and put them together into something that will work for us. When we play, we're open to possibilities because it's not real. We're not bound by the limits of the everyday world. I may never be a real estate magnate in real life, but when I'm playing Monopoly, I can go for those groups of properties and my houses and hotels. The possibilities are there. All I have to do is figure out ways to accomplish what I want to accomplish. A short play interval now can help you with innovations for years to come because you're going to make notes as you go through, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. The one caveat that I would give you is make sure it's a mentally stimulating game rather than just a time-killing one. Time-killing games, it's great for helping time pass if you're, stuck waiting somewhere, but don't waste valuable problem-solving time when you could be playing a mentally stimulating game to help you figure out the solution. There are some ground rules when you're doing game playing, especially if you're doing it in a group. If you're in a work environment and you've got a task force working on something, keep these rules in mind. Every idea has a useful kernel. Keep an open mind. That'll never work is not a valid response. I hate people who go in with that idea because you know what? It might. And it might work with a slight change. Don't be judgmental. Research the idea and learn more about the possibilities. Until you know what those possibilities are, you can't discount the idea. And sometimes researching it is what it takes to go in and figure out what those possibilities are. Keep good records. No idea is too outlandish to record. Make a note of everything because you'll want to be able to go back to those notes when it's time to move to the next step, when it's time to start doing the research and going into more detailed possibilities. Make good notes. Notes and records will help you in terms of keeping the creative juices flowing, in terms of figuring out where do we go from here, and in terms of what was that idea we had in that meeting 2 years ago or last week that, it didn't work for that project, but maybe it'll work for this one. Keep good records. Not every recorded idea is going to become a viable strategy or a new product, but keep the records because without them, they'll never become anything. Detours from your original idea are perfectly okay. They're useful journeys. Think of them as sightseeing. Enjoy the sights, remember how to get back, and make those good notes because there might have been a really good solution out there on that detour. Some of the best places I've found were places that I found off the beaten path. Keep developing the idea for just as long as it makes sense to do it and it holds your interest. It's okay to chase it down and keep the juices flowing with it as long as it makes sense. So now let's play that game. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. These are the questions that journalists ask when they're putting together the lead of their story, the questions that they want answers to when they sit down and face their editor. You can use them to figure out what's going on. Who are the players? What are the strategies? Where did that come from? Where is it going? When was it developed? Why did they go that way? How? How did they make that decision? How did they come to that idea? And then what if? What if we change this? What if we try that? What if we look to this supplier for a new supply chain? What are your problems? What are the issues that you're trying to resolve? And then what if those possible solutions? Let me tell you, what if is a lot cheaper than actually going out and doing it and then finding out it won't work. You try the what if and you work through the steps, you're going to eliminate some things that don't work well just by virtue of the analysis that you do. And then you're going to also see answers that will work well. So what if is a great tool. Ink blots. Now I know I'm not talking about psychology ink blots where they're trying to analyze your mind and, do that sort of thing. I'm talking about look at the situation as a blot, not at the details in it, but at the overall shape. And what can we do looking at it in those general terms that will help us with moving on down the line. Don't get hung up on the little fine details. Look at the big picture in its generality. And if that means taking all the color out of the picture so that you're looking at just gray tones for analysis, that's fine. What does the roadmap to your solution look like? When you look at a roadmap, whether it be online, in your GPS, or pull a physical map out of your glove compartment, it's not just the road. It's the stops along the way. It's the identifying point, the towns, the city, the highway numbers, the street names, the county lines, the city boundaries. Depending on the map, it may even be neighborhood names. Look at your problem and your destination in the same way, not just I need to fix this, but what are the little steps along the way? What are the junction that I need to take to help plan that path to the solution? Suppose you get to a point where you have to say, well, that didn't work. But remember, you can learn from it. If you think back to the invention of the light bulb, Thomas Alva Edison was approached by a reporter and asked, well, how does it feel to have failed? I think at that point it was 998 times, but nearly 1,000 times that he had tried various configurations and elements that did not. And he answered the reporter, I haven't failed all those times. I found that many ways that it didn't work. So first off, look at it as a way that doesn't work, something that we've eliminated. Identify your challenges and look at them as opportunity. Use specific language, including word pictures, to describe your goals. Where are you trying to get? And that relates back to that roadmap. And how far have you gotten in this situation? And which path can you take as an alternate now? What can you learn from that earlier attempt? Sometimes detours are good things. Learn the basics. Look at what's gone on in the past, and then don't be afraid to apply new tools and techniques to reach a solution. Make notes about your results, and we've talked about making notes earlier. Those notes, those references are going to be your ticket to going forward. What didn't meet your expectations right now might be just the answer for another situation. Maybe that particular vendor couldn't provide you with a particular item that you needed for Project A, but they have a great line of things that will fit Project B. If you've got the records of what they make, what they can do, what their price ranges are, then you can easily go back to them. Without the records, you're not going to have it. Then when you're done, analyze the results. All of the results of every project that you undertake. Analyze it for both positive and negative aspects. What can you take away from it to use on a future project? What can you avoid in future projects? Whatever it is, if you've got those records, you're not going to have to repeat to solve those problems. The well of creative thought refreshes your mind. There's no doubt about it. Like any other well, you don't go once. You go back again and again. Visit it often to refill your bucket. The preferred diet of creativity is ideas. So feed your creativity frequently. We've talked about ways you can bring creativity into your life, and that's not even all of them. Feed your creativity every chance you get. Remember that creative thought is like a bird. It flies free and it knows no limits unless you clip its wings. You can clip its wings with doubt, with not believing in yourself. So a final thought. Give yourself permission to come up with creative ideas. The late Earl Nightingale, who was the guru of self-improvement, said, "We become what we think about." He's not the first to say it. He won't be the last. Every self-help speaker out there will remind you that whatever you focus on is where you're going to tend to go. It's true in driving. It's true in creating. We become what we think about. It's even biblical. So don't think, "I'm not creative. I've never been creative. I can't create anything." Instead, tell yourself every day, as often as you need to, put it on a note on the wall if you need to. Remind yourself, "I'm more creative than I used to be," or "I'm getting more and more creative every day." It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Allow yourself to be creative and you will be creative. So let it fly. Let that bird fly. Remember, with imagination, inspiration, and information, you will fuel your creativity. You will increase it, and your life will be better for it. Now, go forth and use your creativity to set the world on fire. Thank you so much for joining me. If you would like to connect with me, or if you have questions about the presentation, if you'd like the long workshop version for your workplace, please don't hesitate to contact me. These are my contact methods. My website, www.lol4.net, has all of my contact information. It also has a place where you can sign up to receive my free newsletter, and I invite you to do so. Thanks again. Go forth and create.